WoW's final expansion has a huge secret. The final expansion. What is this? Clearly, Icecrown Citadel. We know we're going to Northrend in the Last Titan. Like, that's going to happen. We're going to get a lot of Northrend lore, Titan lore, all kinds of stuff. The final expansion. What could it be? Let's see what this is all about from Balular.
We know where this all ends. The Last Titan is set on Northrend. But we're not just going back to Ulduar to do Titan things. And Northrend has not spent the last decade in a bubble where nothing happens. That's far from the case. Arthas is gone, the Shadowlands are sealed away, but take Naxxramas. It's still there. It's not...
One thing that I'm wondering about Northrend is what the hell's going on with there is the Scourge, right? What the fuck? We got no Helm of Domination. We have that stupid crown of... the Tiara of Wills, I'll call it. Whatever that shit was. I don't think that thing controls the Scourge, so what the hell is going on with the Scourge? They should just be running rampant right now. Because if we remember, back when lore in the game mattered, there must always be a Lich King. And there currently isn't one, so what the hell is going on?
Not fall into the ice, it is in fact waiting for someone to return. And today, I'm pretty sure I actually know who. But it's not just that. Take as an example the Shadow Vault. It's an Ebon Blade base that we established a decade ago, but as of today, it's all but fallen. The Scourge are canonically back. Northrend is canonically right now in a state of chaos, and that word, chaos, is not me speculating. It is a quote from inside the game. So today's lore then is not me dredging up a bunch of old unfinished stories from an expansion from 2008. This is Blizzard's recent work. It's what they've pointed us towards. It's work they've done with intent, and it's work that we will see a little bit in the Midnight expansion, and a lot in the Last Titan.
Nice.
Whenever people send me things, first impressions count. And that's where today's sponsor, Squarespace, can let
Triangle
you make
Void.
that strong first impression so you
AKA
actually get through to the
Squarespace.
people you want to get through to. And today, they're easier, faster, and less fictitious than anyone else, and that's all because of the new way that you build a site. And I'll walk you through it. So first, Blueprint guides you through making your own template, and this really is amazing. It helps you select what pages you want, what fonts are best, what color palette to use, and by them, of course, doing the hard work of curating all of those and making it all just work, they keep you right.
It's like
And that also
Samiccus
extends to
tanking
them adding
for
new
him.
features.
It's
You can sell digital and physical
brilliant for
products.
others.
There's courses, there's bookings for physical and digital, and there's even native video. Yes, native, not just an embed.
Wow.
Basically just means
Native
it
video.
looks and feels way better and way more pro. Now, it's all designed to work together, and rather than be a bunch of cobbled together features with inconsistent design, it's actually seamless and professional so that your customers actually have a great first impression.
Nice.
It's what you want. And whenever they convert, well, you have seamless
I'm going to
buying.
use this when I start making furry suits and selling them. You guys know it's controversial how I feel about furries. All I say is I don't want furries in the game. But if I start the Furry Forge, which I'm going to start, I'll make a Squarespace site. Squarespace sponsor me. I'll make my Furry Forge site, and we'll start selling furry suits. That's right.
With Squarespace payments. They really are the complete package.
Use discount code
FURRICUS.
FURRICUS.
My link, squarespace.com/BalularGaming, you get to build your site for free. And then when you're ready to send it live, my code, BalularGaming, gets you 10% off your first purchase of a site or domain.
No, I don't, Conicia. That's what you're going to do. Scourge Unleashed. Oh, take me back, man.
As Lich King, Arthas created an unending army of death, and when he fell, Bolvar took his place, claiming the Helm of Domination. Without it, the Scourge would have no centralized control. There would have been a power vacuum, and that would have been dangerous. And so, for the decade after Arthas fell, Bolvar did what he could to hold the Scourge together.
Probably still the best boss kill cutscene we've seen in the game. It was the first, and it's still the best. Replacing the Lich King, telling people, like he's telling Bolvar, never say my name again kind of thing. You know, tell people that the Lich King is dead and Bolvar Foredragon died with him. I mean, what a fucking badass line. What a badass line, man. Now we get dragons getting their powers back from the Tree of Life and the glitter returning to their eyes and shit. I mean, my God. Bring this kind of hardcore ass shit back, please.
Most importantly, to hold them back. Now, the Knights of the Ebon Blade at the time did not trust him, so for Bolvar it was thankless, isolating work. By the time we and the Ebon Blade engaged with him again, the toll that it had taken was clear. During the Legion expansion, Bolvar sounded less and less like his old heroic self. In time, he may even have turned against us, but in breaking the Helm of Domination, Sylvanas both put an end to that and set the board for today's situation. Because if you thought the Scourge ended with Shadowlands' launch event or Kel'Thuzad's demise, you would in fact be wrong. Not only does a whole in-game Scourge storyline happen after the Jailer's defeat, there is even hard confirmation of active Scourge within Northrend now. Not long after the Shadowlands, Kel'Thuzad came under major attack from the old Scourge fortress of Deathholm.
Interesting that, the Scourge is obviously related to Silvermoon and everything, and we know that that whole area, the Dead Scar, Silvermoon, all of that's getting revamped for the next expansion for Midnight. So I wonder if the Dead Scar is finally going to be healed. If you don't know what that is, that's literally the piece of land that Arthas and his undead army marched down to go to Silvermoon and taint the whole Sunwell and everything else. Like, it's a big landmark in the game, and it still exists from the very beginning. Since the Scourge marched those lands, it's never regrown. We might see it regrown again, and we'll get some more Scourge lore out of it, most likely.
A remnant of Arthas' invasion decades and decades ago before he was the Lich King. But of course, that was a very different time. It was a different Scourge. Today's Scourge is nothing like that one. Vorath, member of the Sand Lane, who are commander cast within Arthas' Scourge, had returned home. He had gathered the Scourge around him, and by the time we got involved, it was almost too late. Blood Elf lands almost fell, but of course not quite. We, along with the Blood Elves, take the day, we press through to the Ghostlands, and we put an end to Vorath. And it's easy for us players to see this as a self-contained plot for Blood Elf characters, but I assure you, it is not. What matters is that this plotline happened after the Jailer was defeated, and it could only have happened then. And the reason why is control over the Scourge should have been the Jailer's after Arthas' downfall, but thanks to Bolvar taking up the helm, it wasn't. That's right. Because the strength of Bolvar's soul was able to keep the Jailer at bay as well. But of course, with the helm destroyed and the Jailer defeated... Yeah,
basically the Jailer's planning when it came to the Helm of Domination was that it was unable to fully dominate both Arthas and Bolvar. Like, basically, the Jailer did not calculate for mortal beings to have a will as strong as those two did. Okay, because Arthas, yes, he fell to corruption, but he never fell to the true plan or the underlying plan of the Scourge. He ended up using the Scourge for his own means. So that was his ability to hold it back. And then Bolvar, too, he wasn't the Lich King as long as Arthas was. He didn't have to hold back his desires to just unleash the Scourge as much as Arthas did. But he was able to hold it back for the years that he had to do it. And again, that goes against what the kind of the design of the Lich King was supposed to be, in that he's supposed to be basically an arm of the Jailer, able to do things on our planet and eventually control the planet and on death, so he can, destroy whatever he wanted to destroy. Because he falls to his knees, the Jailer, and he says, "A cosmos divided, what is it? A cosmos divided cannot survive what is to come," or whatever. He's talking about basically that he wanted to unite everything on Azeroth to fight off whatever the fuck he's going to fight off. I have no idea. That lore is complete garbage anyways. But Bolvar, Arthas, they were strong enough to hold off what the Helm of Domination was supposed to do to them.
The lower Scourge are now feral. Back in the day, those of us with an interest in the lore
better than me, I'd let the dogs
eat. Was a bit silly, the idea that they would be feral and somehow that would be dangerous. But Vorath shows us that actually it's an opportunity, that those lower Scourge can be dominated, and this can lead to opportunistic warlords. And here's the thing, Lorthamar, leader of the Blood Elves, knows that Vorath was just a symptom.
I will inform the Ebon Blade of what transpired. If the Scourge caused such problems here, I suspect matters in Northrend may be even worse.
Those lines from Lorthamar are our first Northrend clue. We get more clues then from exploring Azeroth Northrend. This is a book that details the Bronzebeard brothers' travels through Northrend after Shadowlands, right? After the Jailer. And when they're traveling, they discover that it's very much a continent that is active. They in fact explicitly reference Naxxramas. And it's the way they describe Naxxramas that's the most important. But to properly understand that, we've got to jump forward and go to a direct in-game reference that's very fresh.
Oh, great. Dragonflight lore.
Another warning came to us from the final Tearsguard quest in Dragonflight, And being honest with you, it completely passed me by. So, Talithus, a paladin obsessed with order, worships Tyr as a paragon of all the virtues, and of course, knowing Tyr's history on the continent of Northrend, he says this. I asked Tyr what wrongs he planned on righting first in this world, the chaos in Northrend, or the Broken Isles, or Quel'Thalas. That's what our character says, and he literally says chaos in Northrend. That is our third reference, and it's an explicit one. It's one that Blizzard made just before the War Within shipped, and it's one that mentions the setting of Legion Remix, the setting of Midnight, and the setting of The Last Titan. And while chaos can take many forms, I'm fairly sure this is a Scourge one. That's because our most complete account on modern Northrend comes from Muradin Bronzebeard and his brothers. They put everything together. We, of course, ended up getting the Exploring Azeroth book, and chaos is no surprise. As an example, take this passage. Naxxramas still floats over the keep, like it's waiting for something. No one's been able to knock it down yet, which worries me more than anything else.
A return to Naxx.
That passage sparks intrigue.
Again.
Remember that it was written after the Shadowlands happened, but before Dragonflight. Then, toward Dragonflight's end, we learn that Northrend is in chaos. I think it's fair to say that these things are likely connected, and it seems to me the powder keg has not yet exploded. But I think it's fair to say that the fuse has been lit, and Blizzard even has a legendary character ready to exploit this situation.
Arthas Menethil?
We know two things, let's put them together. First,
The lost child of Arthas Menethil. The promised king. The prince. I don't know how Arthas could have had a kid. I mean, I guess him and Jaina used to get it on, so maybe they could have some child running around, but then how would Jaina have kept that a secret for all this time? Probably not. One can only dream.
Muradin felt as if Naxxramas was waiting for something, and while it could just be him saying was a little spooky, ultimately those words were written by Blizzard, they were written with intent. Second, we know the Scourge can be controlled, as we saw with Vorath. Now, if we are to assume Kel'Thuzad's rather pathetic demise in the Shadowlands was truly the end of that character, then there are not that many major Scourge names left. There is, as an example, Dark Master Gandling. I don't really think he would cut it. Yep. But there is one character who could cut it, and that is Baron Titus Rivendare. He was Kel'Thuzad's key to corrupting Lordaeron nobility. He was the ultimate Death Knight of Arthas, and during our last raid in Naxxramas,
one of the Knights of the Four Horsemen.
One of the Four Horsemen who we defeated. The odd thing, then, is that Blizzard have not hard confirmed that Titus Rivendare is dead and gone. And, in fact, years after the Ultimate Visual Guide was published, Blizzard even hinted at that character's existence. Ooh. To cut a long story short, the Paladin class mount is actually the redeemed steed of Titus Rivendare's son, Arius. And what happens in this quest is the Paladins travel...
Wait a minute, the Paladin class mount is the redeemed steed of his son?
To Arius' place of death.
That's
the body
badass.
had been taken, and we're left wondering who took the body and why. Now, seconds after this discovery, we then battle a Death Knight who did claim the mount that we were after, but after defeating that Death Knight, we again find no body. And after reading through all of the evidence, I agree with the people who speculate that Titus recovered his son's body. And of all the Scourge names that are still alive, cool. I think none best the original Baron Rivendare. If, in The Last Titan, Blizzard wanted a major character with name recognition to be deeply connected to a new and dangerous Scourge, it would be Titus Rivendare. The Scarlet Crusade is back, and it's back in a big way. Not just in patch 11.1.7 story, but actually on Northrend, and they've been there for a while. The Bronzebeards discovered the Scarlet Harbour at New Hearthglen in a state brimming with activity, full of Scarlets. Shortly after that happened, we then dealt with a new wave of Scarlet attacks against the Forsaken. And while we fended them off, we did not resolve.
I kind of wish the Scarlets would have put up more of a fight here. They kind of made them just like, easily killable NPCs. I want to see more from the Scarlets. I feel like that was just too easy. Oh, you bring the Scarlets back just to be a random kill-off in some quest line? Come on.
All of them. In fact, we literally saw Scarlets
I guess there's more to come from them.
In reinforcements from an external location. I think that external location is highly likely to be their long-established base in Northrend. And the thing is, the rest of this video plays into the hands of the Scarlets. A active Scourge in Northrend actually helps the Scarlets. It's going to drive the locals of Winterguard and its surrounding settlements right
Easy to
into
recruit.
their arms, providing them on Lordaeron with the reinforcements they would need. Add to all this then, the light undead that we saw at the end of the Reclamation of Gilneas. Blizzard added that in for a reason, and in the War Within's Priory of the Sacred Flame dungeon, we saw more light undead just like it. We've also, of course, got the sense from characters like Faerun that the Arathi Empire are not really that warm to outsiders. We also see them as light-wielding extremists, such as in the Priory. So expect these stories to clash. It seems many of
Yeah, as far as, man, that's a badass armor set. Where the hell is this black and red one from? Oh, shit. What was I going to say? Eorel is another, what's it called? Light, but, bound fanatic. Right, so somehow I feel like they're going to tie her in at some point. She's still out there in WoD, creating her sex dungeons for all the Magar orcs that don't want to switch over to the light. So there's a lot of shit going on out there that eventually will probably bring her back into the fold when the light becomes irrelevant.
The Empire might actually quite like the Scarlets. And if Blizzard were to follow a classic Scarlet tradition, well, perhaps even there could be a returning Dreadlord. After all, their leader in Lordaeron, Dathrahan, was possessed by a Dreadlord. Their leader in Northrend...
Well, he wasn't... I don't think he was possessed by a Dreadlord. He had been killed off, and then the Dreadlord had taken his spot, basically. The Dreadlords kind of took him away and then took his spot.
Admiral Borean Westwind was possessed by a Dreadlord. What happened the last time we met Dreadlords? They escaped, along with their father, and raising serious questions such as the true loyalties of Lothraxion. A Dreadlord turned to the light. So I think we can expect all of these things to converge, and perhaps even to resolve a long-running mystery. All Northrend is bathed in the blood of old gods. It's the ore that we call Saronite. And over a decade ago, Warcraft devs said there was a deeper connection between Yogg-Saron and the Lich King, but they just felt they didn't quite nail it and explain it within the game. Hints were, however, left, and I'm going to play one of them for you now.
Badass.
Yes, that's the Lich King, but the music that's playing is actually Yogg-Saron's theme. Blizzard did tease back then. We've never had a full explanation, so now is, of course, their chance. And that's just one example of the ultimate promise.
Yeah, it's Serodites everywhere at Northrend. Literally the entirety of the Icecrown Citadel is created from old god blood.
The Last Titan expansion, which is that it can bring together almost every classic Warcraft thing that you can think of. The big ones, obviously, are Illidan and Sargeras. Of course, there are Dreadlords, the Scarlets, the Scourge, and perhaps most of all, the Titans. They are going to be the next episode in this series. There may even be a civil war. But until then, if you want to understand WoW's next major patch, you'll have to watch this video next.
Yeah, great stuff. I'm excited. Excited to go back to Northrend and explore that lore. I want to see how, man, they're going to try to tie Shadowlands into it somehow. That's been a hot mess. We'll see if they're able to pull it off. Overall, Northrend, I mean, it's just nostalgic as shit to go back there, so I'm excited for it. Nice video from Bellular.